Welcome to Omega TV UK. Today,
thank you, and and thank you for having me.
Yes, good evening, Honorable. Good evening. We have Honorable Isaac Ashai Odamte. Yes, Honorable is a member of Parliament for Tema East constituency and former mayor of Tema Metropolitan Assembly. Honorable, you've been very busy in your life.
Yeah, man born of a woman serving his maker must always be busy.
Yes, and the people of UK in the United Kingdom here are very grateful to have you, although you've been watched across the world. But the people of the UK, they're grateful to hear. They said they want to hear what is going on in Ghana today. But before that, Honorable, something happened today in Tema, yesterday in Tema, which you are aware. But I would like you to do a small introduction, then you go straight to the Tema incident and what is happening, because people don't understand what is happening in Tema at this stage. Thank you.
All right. Once again, thank you for having me. And it's my pleasure reaching you and your UK community, as well as those who have the opportunity to interact or listen to us on the go. Indeed, as you said, I serve the people of Tema East constituency in the Parliament of Ghana, in the 8th Parliament of the 4th Republic. Indeed, proud to serving in the Parliament of Ghana. I have served in the capacity of the city administrator or mayor of Tema from 2013 to 2016. And so currently, though I'm in a different role, I have had a fair idea for the governance system in the country. And I have a first-hand experience of what a metropolitan or cosmopolitan area and its challenges in terms of the people's welfare and the economic conditions would always look like. But permit me to also appreciate the people of UK, because I've also had some good working relationships with a few counties or cities in the UK.
Okay.
And I've also had some working relationships with the Commonwealth Local Government Forum.
Yes.
And so UK not only being our colonial masters in the past, but we have had some positive engagement, because whilst I serve as mayor of Tema and the president of the National Association of Local Authorities Ghana, which is NALAG, I got the opportunity to serve on the board of the Commonwealth Local Government Forum.
Wow.
And one key take home for my country, Ghana, had to be a 5-year development plan that we got the CLGF to help Ghana, NALAG to develop. And within that 5-year development plan, we had local economic development, which really drilled down to support local activity, local economy, and to promote specific local business activities within Ghana. And so I have good relationship with the people of UK. Let me use this opportunity to extend my
Thank you.
facility to them. Right.
So, Honorable, the Ghana Armed Force.
On the issue of Tema.
Yes, they issued a strong warning following attacks on the naval base and personnel. What is happening there? What is happening?
Yeah, let me put on record that there appears to be a disconnect between the reality on the ground in Tema, as happened within the Eastern Naval Base, versus what the Ghana Armed Forces PRO seated in Accra, the headquarters, has put in. Without taking anything away from the PRO's press release, I want to state that the General Armed Forces regime within the country, and that which is specific to the Eastern Naval Command and the people of Tema, cannot be looked at in the same perspective. Because the Eastern Naval Command has been in Tema for a long while. We've had a long-standing working relationship in the community. And so when we are confronted with a challenge such as what occurred on the evening of Friday, the 12th of April, it's important that the facts are rightly stated in order not to aggravate the pain of people and to cause the situation to degenerate.
Okay.
Having said that, I want to put on record that it's not true that the youth in Tema attacked the military or the Navy unprovoked. Neither was there any such to say that in the ensuing milieu, we had the youth agitating, and from what I have also seen, there has been some excesses from the youth, which is a result of their lack of appreciation and the indiscretion exercised by the junior ratings of the Ghana Navy in Tema. And so in a nutshell, we are in our festive season, and the youth will normally sing and chant and at least as part of the celebration, cross on the corridor, on the streets of the community. So on the fateful day, the military van was driving through the crowd, and as fortunate as it may be, the speed with which they were driving caused the young men to hit the back with their hands. And that provoked the military to get down and arrest a couple of them. And obviously the people protested. And they did not protest with the attack, except when the Navy started assaulting them. Of course, we understand that we cannot interfere in the activities of the Navy or the armed forces. But when the armed forces live in a community with the people, unlike other jurisdictions, for example, last year we had an incident at Asylum. In that case, it is one of the community and the military. So something had happened and the military moving into the community. In this case, the barracks sits in the community, the base in the community. And so dispersing must be used all times, because you cannot wipe away the community from their current location. They have been magnanimous in giving portions of their land to the military for existence. And it is on that note that I want to employ the military not to look at the community as antagonist or look at the community as a warfare zone, but rather we ought to fashion our activities in a way that promotes peaceful coexistence and solidarity in the discharge of our respective duties. And so, unfortunately, 2 people died in the incident, and we are calling for investigations, and we are also calling for the perpetrators of this unfortunate incident to be brought to book. But all said and done, my appeal to the youth has been for them to remain calm, to understand that the military are based in our community, but they offer valuable services for our country in terms of how they protect our territorial waters. And in that regard, I employ all of them to stay calm and to ensure that the unfortunate incident doesn't happen again.
Is the festival finished or is still going on, Honorable?
The main festival which we explained, Pelejo, ended with the Nawachi, which is a 1 week after the main event on Friday. But traditionally, the elders of the community and the fetish priests, the Wulome, we call them, would continue to perform other rites until about the middle of or towards the end of May. And some other rites that may be coming up will be the what we call in our local language Ananano or Nano Nadumo. And that is the ban on noise making. Ban on noise making. That is going to set in the next couple of days or weeks. And then for the next 3 weeks, that right would also happen. So the entire festival is ongoing. What we have concluded last Friday, which unfortunately the main event was very, very peaceful, was very, very colorful. The 1 week celebration has also been done very well, except at the tail end in the evening, that the indiscretion of the junior NEVA ratings caused this unfortunate incident.
Thank you, Honorable. Today, our program, this came up because many people in the UK, other part of the world, in the diaspora, Ghanaians wanted to know what is happening there. And the good news is that you are MP in the area and you've been able to update us what is happening. Thank you very much for that, Honorable. Now we're going to the IMF and the economy. Many people in the abroad will normally travel to Ghana for maybe tourism. They want to go and see their family. Things are happening. And it's coming out that people are struggling. Many families are battling to make ends meet in our country. However, we have the IMF program, which is projected to drastically slow the rate of inflation and ensure stable prices and currency. So what is going on? We have the money. However, it seems like the exchange rate is not being able to balance and the government is struggling to control it. What is happening based on your expert analysis? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to comment on this issue. Of course, we cannot start the analysis of our economy from the exchange rate situation, because the exchange rate is actually an outcome or a result of lack of critical fundamental issues. Your exchange rate gets weakened when your reserves or when your payment terms are in the negative, when you do not export more than you import, when you are not generating enough forex to meet your physical forex denominated transactions as a country. And so the exchange rate is not the issue. It is the economic fundamental, the economic activities that may not be gelling, and they are also a result of economic policy disconnect. It is when your economic policies are not telling the same story that you have the situation where either your production is not meeting the enough generation of forex. It is when your local policies are not gelling in terms of how you maintain your demand for forex related activities that results in a spike that we see in the forex regime. Having said that, this country has had a checkered relationship with the International Monetary Fund. And so usually you would see governments shying away from the International Monetary Fund ostensibly because of the conditions that usually come with such relationships with the International Monetary Fund. Those conditionalities too are not in themselves easy, but what they do is they constrict the freedom for government policy implementation. And so these things would also mean that you to be forced to be disciplined. For example, if the employment rate is so, yet there are no manufacturing or production settings to absorb the labor force, usually what government would do would be to increase the numbers in the public sector. And anytime you increase the numbers in the public sector, productivity is sacrificed. Because you have times when people are recruited in certain key government institutions or state-owned enterprises, and by nature of their job, we see that productivity becomes heavily affected. Reason why governments are away from IMF is basically because of the conditionality and the indiscipline that they get to be punished with. We recall in the immediate months or weeks preceding the government jumping onto the IMF, the vehement war they waged opposing the going into the relationship with the IMF. And the reason they opposed is because the government had played politics on their way to winning power to gain the reins of administration of this country. And so
what do you mean by that, Honorable? Our viewers want to know or hear what you mean by the government have pushed their way politically to get where they are.
Yeah, you would find that the government officials were on record saying that if running economy was all about borrowing, then their children could even run the economy.
Okay.
You have situations where the sitting president thought that anything foreign or any financial injection from the international financial markets into our country was bad. And so he is noted today with a tagline or a tagline which Ghanaians will not forget, yet Picasso and to accommodate. That tagline was basically saying that there is enough in the country. Surprisingly, the current vice president of this country, who happens to be the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, was also very emphatic in indicating that the money is in this country and they do not need anyone to teach them how to run this economy, because they could generate the needed resources to change the fortunes of this country. So you have the president himself leaning into it with Picasso and Picasso into a comedy. Yes. You have the vice president making emphatic statements like that money is available in this country, and he went ahead to add that the structure of the economy will be changed from taxation to production. And so many people get hoodwinked by these torn statements.
Yes.
Torn statement because they knew they were professing things that they could not live by. Yet they went along for populism to profess those statements. And so as we speak now, they failed to eat humble pie at the time when they needed to call it quit from their local policies and get support from the international market. Let's mention three things why they were struggling. One, they had failed in their flagship promise to say that they were going to give every justice in this country a factory, so to speak, to promote their saying or their position, their policy that they will move from taxation to production. Yet, having failed, they went the easy way by just taking the graduates in the system, absorbing the graduates in the system through a very failed policy called NAFTA. Now, the failed policy NAFTA had two effects. One effect is that it killed innovation and productivity of the young ones, because for lack of jobs, government now puts them on salary, creates a model that is not very, very necessary, that did not have production systems for them to add value to our domestic products. And so they were just paying these young people just to take them off the street and say they have reduced unemployment. That was one basic problem. The second reason why they could not maintain their promise had to do with their failed promise for planting for food and jobs. So these people had come up with policies that were not in sync with the realities of the time, and yet they could not eat humble pie for Ghanaians to at least think about taking the bold decision that would turn the fortunes of the country around. For this reason, they didn't want to go to the IMF for the disgrace that they were going to face. So the second effect of their lack of bold decision taking is that instead of going to the IMF when the country was still on its feet, they delayed and went to the IMF when almost everything had collapsed.
Okay.
To which, if you are a sick person and you needed medical intervention, if you go out, you are still able to talk, you will be in a position to tell the medical doctor exactly what is wrong with you, and that could improve upon the diagnosis and also aid the medical doctor's attention for your ailment.
Yes.
But the situation where you stay at home and you collapse before they take you there, when you go before the doctor, you have no contribution to give the doctor. There's no way you will tell the doctor exactly what is happening to you. The effect of that is that there will be a lot of trial and error. They would have to guess what the challenge is. They would have even to run tests. It will be a problem.
Yes.
And so the government failed to approach the IMF baby on time. And that has also aggravated our situation to the extent that if you look at the Ghanaian economy today, the major challenge area has to do with the youth. And the youth unemployment in this country has gone beyond what we would describe as normal into a situation which can be described as a national security threat. I say so because
Bawumia claimed that he created over 2 million jobs for the youth. But here you go, you are saying that it's becoming a national security threat, the unemployment of the youth.
Yeah, not Dr. Kofi Kule. The basic fact is that if Dr. Bawumia says he has created 2 million jobs, the evidence of it is in the percentage of unemployment in the country as we speak. Unemployment has increased from the region of 8% in 2016 when this administration took over to a current level of over 14%, almost double. And so it is not about the number of employment you have given. It is about the number of people who are increasing in the unemployment bracket.
Yes.
Again, this country used to have less than 500,000 people in the low income or poverty, or what some would describe extreme poverty bracket. Within the past 4 years, this government has pushed a further 860,000 people into the extreme poverty bracket.
Wow.
These are not good news. These are not economic indicators that will require people to bury their heads in the sand and pretend all is well. And so the situation of our country is one that calls for pragmatic leadership. The situation in our country is one that calls for integrity and competence. You must be competent at what you do, but in demonstrating that competence, you must show integrity. Because many people came to government positions with their certificate and their level of training. But what we are seeing is the issue of integrity. Because, Dr. Kule, tell me, if you want to change corruption index in this country, today, the corruption index in Ghana is higher. Yet, the government has the parade more than any government is this government. Because today, when you complain, they will tell you they have set up EOP, or they have improved EOP, they have set up special prosecutor's efforts. Now, you can tell that these are charades to make the impression in the international community as though something is happening in the area of fighting corruption. The reality on the ground is different. And so, in a nutshell, if you look at this government, it is their lack of integrity for them to face their own campaign promises and policies that has gotten the country into this dire situation. I mentioned 3 categories of people that are affected. 1, the youth. 2, the economically active group. And 3, the pensioners. Today, as we speak, all 3 categories of persons within our country are affected. Even pensioners who have contributed to the national development of this country over the past 30 to 60 years are suffering because their meager investments that their pension could give them on retirement has even been taken by government. And some will say that the haircut is not affecting pensioners. But these pensioners had their investments in banks and other financial institutions that are affected. And again, if you prevent an investor from getting his principal and interest at time and period he so needs, then you are taking his right away. You can't force anyone to buy a bond that has a coupon and yield that is spread over 5 to 30 years. No. People would invest so they can get it when they need it most. And so this government is really seeing not only the youth by way of unemployment, the businesses, the economically active businesses are suffering. Today in Tema, a couple of companies are relocating to our neighboring countries. And so the 3 categories of people are all suffering within these harsh economic conditions that this government has brought upon us.
Honorable, what is the government saying about the economic management team? Because there was a lot of noise about economic management team and how they're going to change our situation in Ghana. What is Dr. Bawumia, who is the head of economic management team, is saying now, and also those who were part of the economic management team? Do you think that the economic challenges got something to do with the economic management team?
Obviously. The constitution of this country was well framed. When people advocate for change or what do you call it, a review, a constitutional review, I accept, I agree to a very large extent, because for a constitution that has crossed the 3-decade barrier, definitely there will be the need for some review. But when the call for review is premised on an inefficient leadership mechanism, then it is flawed. Because the constitution itself must be implemented by sound minds that have integrity for this country to develop. The constitution made provision for economic management team.
Yes.
And in all the previous regimes, the vice president chaired the economic management team. Because this government trumpeted their strength in economy, they trumpeted their strength in people who have theory more than practice.
Okay.
They thought that they could use economic indicators as basis for national development. Yet, they have failed woefully. Why I say so is that Dr. Bawumia asked the former vice president 170 economic questions. Yet today, the same Bawumia, who the current president described as an economic weak, someone who was so knowledgeable in economics, and for which reason he was going to be the best vice president for this country, today, the same president cannot stand and praise the vice president in those terms. Again, the economy was the most critical conditions for the selection of Bawumia as a running mate. Recall that Bawumia was not even a member of the National New Patriotic Party. He was not a member. Yet, it took his economic credential for him to be considered as the running mate. And so, one will ask, where are those credentials that made Bawumia stand out? Where are the economic factors that Bawumia used to dazzle Ghanaians through rhetoric? Where is the economic management team that Bawumia described as solid, as competent, as exceptional? Today, the same economic management team do not even want to hear Bawumia set up at the economy. Because the very things Bawumia championed whilst he was running it, the very things under the economy that Bawumia championed while he was vice president in the first term, currently he cannot talk about them. Why? Because he lied to Ghanaians. And Ghanaians have seen through his insincerity in administration. The economic management team have realized that they have failed the country because they took this country when the dollar exchange rate was $3.8 cedis to a dollar. Today, the exchange rate is 13 cedis to a dollar. So how can we have a competent economic team that rather see a higher or a deteriorated Ghanaian cedi or a weakened Ghanaian cedi? That is the nexus we need to deal with. Again, that economic management team to deal with the fundamentals of our economy. When you want to shift from taxation to production, you need critical investment in key sectors such as electricity and power, and also utilization of our newly discovered gas in the oil fields in Western region. And so these were the concentrations of the previous administration under President John Evans Atta Mills and John Dramani Mahama. They worked so hard to improve the generating capacity of this country and also brought gas on stream through the Akwabo gas project. Now, having set the base, one would have thought that the current government would have had the backbone for them to implement the industrial push that they were taking. Unfortunately, they have wasted all the gains that the previous administration did, to the extent that we met one oil field. By the time the erstwhile administration, the NDC administration led by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama was leaving office, we have added 2 new wells and improved our oil generation from about 200 million to over 800 million barrels per year. And so the windfall of revenue from the oil fields should assist the economy to maintain our forest. But bad economic management, coupled with severe corruption, as we saw in some of the opulent lifestyle and project non-execution in our country. And so today, the economic management team that Bawumia spoke about is dead. And he, Bawumia himself, does not even talk about the economy. Today, he talks about digitalization. And even under digitalization, what is needed as a backbone for the ICT revolution has to do with investment in fiber optic service, which this government has not invested in, yet they are priding themselves in digitalization. And so it is more like fighting the smoke rather than the fire. So this country has no hope under this current administration if they continue doing what they are doing today. The hope we find in the immediate future is in the laudable policies of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And to mention just three, as I sign off to come back, is one, the 24-hour economy is targeting industries to expand. Those running single shifts must be supported to at least go into double shift. Those who are running double shifts must be supported so they could do three shifts, that is 24-hour rotation. The support will be targeted, and it will be such that it will lead to increasing number of employment, number of employees to run new shift systems. Because if you just invested capital into businesses without intentionally creating expanded production lines, you cannot get the needed increase in employment. And so these are the targeted areas that the 24-hour economy will be addressing. The second key issue, which is of interest for us, especially in Tema and across the country, is the $10 billion Big Food project. Every infrastructure becomes a catalyst. When you invest in infrastructure, you have a dual benefit. The first benefit is the engagement of artisans and specialists who get their economic gains from the executing of the project. The aftermath of the project produces or provides service delivery and other activities that would add to the gross domestic product of the country. And so the $10 billion Big Push agenda is targeting major interventions in health, education, security, and even public industrialization. And so for us in Ghana, we cannot wait to experience this huge intervention that will change both the skyline and the business environment of our country, offering opportunities to local content providers in our country. I want our viewers to understand that we are going to be dealing with a former president who described creditably in himself versus a vice president who is now a presidential candidate who cannot stand on his own record. And so I want to do justice. I have done it before. Is what is confronting Ghanaians. I have no doubt that Ghanaians would choose the Ejumawura,
yes,
His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, within these economic challenges, especially where you have corruption index. Today, the best corruption index, what we call.
You can use the performance tracker.
So, I mean, that is okay. So, if you take the performance tracker, for example, versus the Green Book, we have thrown the challenge that every project listed in the Green Book has a stressing on the ground. And we have challenged the current government to point to a single project in the Green Book which does not exist. They have not been able. As I speak with you, there is the Biakro Barracks in Tema, Manya, in my constituency, which was started, which the contractors for that project were Amandi. This government has put in their performance tracker as a project they executed, which is very false. Which is false. So most of the things they are doing, it is a deception.
So
they know they cannot
Honorable,
deal with the reality.
We will let you continue, but I want to ask something. If the country identify that information are false, now it goes Parliament, what do they do about it?
Yeah, we as parliamentarians have the oversight responsibility, and we hold people accountable, and we hold people to strict truth.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of these things have come up on the floor of Parliament. Luckily, we have had situations where falsehoods have been found out.
Mm-hmm.
But in most cases, when the government is still sitting on information, it's difficult to get them to release what is true.
Mm-hmm.
Except when they are faced with having to go to the IMF or other international bodies, then they produce the right information, and then we get to see the deception in their reportage.
Okay.
And so Parliament has been a check on the executive when it comes to false information. Once again, in this tracker usage, it is just a political tool to hoodwink Ghanaians.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of the diasporan Ghanaians will just read on the net and may be tempted to believe that all the lies and the projects that have been projected as having been done by this government are false. But diasporan Ghanaians may not know. And we do know that the diasporan Ghanaians have influence on their relations in the country. Mm-hmm. And so when they have these misinformation passed on to their relations in the country, it feeds into the perception and propaganda this government is pushing through the tracker. And so I want to believe that the civil society organizations, state-based organizations, and political parties must be up in doing in calling this deceptive government out, so the general public will know them for who they are.
Yes, thank you. Do you still have time, Honorable?
I think that I have done my first round. Let's allow Dr. Fiadumo to hold the fort, and then I'll come back.
Thank you.
When I get to the business.
Thank you.
Thank
you very much, Honorable Isaac Ashai Odamte. Thank you. MP Tema East Constituency. Thank you. And I think that
you're welcome.
The diasporans, they also love you. They want to hear from you again. So they will be waiting. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Producer, we may have to have a break and come back here. Thank you. Yes, I will be doing the program with Dr. Richard Fiadamo, who will be coming on to talk about a few things in Ghana. Yeah, Dr. Fiadamo is the chairman for Disability Desk, NDC Disability Desk in Ghana, and he will be coming on shortly. So please do not go away wherever you are, as Dr. Richard Fiadamo will be joining us. Thank you. Yes, we heard everything that Honorable Odamtin was saying. He's MP for Tema East constituency. In terms of the challenges of the government policy, he spoke about the economic management team as well, about how he feels that the lack of skills, the lack of knowledge contributed to that, and how he's saying that now Dr. Bawumia is not talking about anything to do with the economy. He's more talking about the digitization agenda that he is pursuing. Even then, what Honorable is saying, that Dr. Bawumia is missing a lot from what he's saying. Is not targeted. Do you think the bailout program with the International Monetary Fund, IMF, has helped ease the problem we are facing, problems we are experiencing as a country? Do you think so? Yes, let us hear from Mahama meets church leaders in Tema, and let us continue with that. Thank you, producer.
Yeah. Thank you. Good morning to us all. Please let's be up and standing and look to the Lord in prayer. Let's pray. Our gracious and everlasting Father, we thank you for this blessed morning. Thank you for the gift of life. Father, it has been your cause, it has been your blessings that we see ourselves among the living. We commit our meeting to you, your hands this morning. Steer the affairs, take control. We pray that our deliberations, our discussions will be fruitful, oh God. Father, so pretend over our lives and breathe your spirit upon us, even as we will discuss common issues for the betterment for our nation, Ghana. Thank you for all gathered here this morning, and I have this confidence that you who have started a good work in our lives, you will surely bring it to completion, and our joy may be full in you. We thank you, we bless you for this privilege. In the mighty name of Jesus I've prayed. Amen. Thank you. Please, you may receive your seats.
Thank you very much. The giftings of the Lord are many. Some are short, some are medium height, and some are tall. And that's on display here today. So, Resident Pastor, I don't have your gifting. At this juncture on our program, we would acknowledge some dignitaries. Before we go to the high table, I'd love to acknowledge every man of God here. You are all God's servants and oracles. We thank you for making time to be with us. And as our spiritual fathers, we continue to count on you for our guidance. But I cannot continue without acknowledging members from GPCC. I see our fathers from GPCC, the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council here. I see Bishop Gordon Kise, who is, if I'm not mistaken, the vice chairman of the GPCC. Please let's put our hands together for him. And just last night, I watched a video of a man who speaks truth to authority without fear. He has the spirit of Samuel speaking to prophets, speaking as a prophet to kings. Bishop Samuel N. Mensah. Bishop S.N. Mensah. We have Bishop George Nikwe with us here as well. We have Bishop Benejay with us here as well. Apostle Afute Odai is also Odai is also here with us. Bishop Richard Ahiagbede is also here with us. Reverend Samuel Boateng is also with us here. We have Reverend Kujo Amuasari also in the house with us. Reverend Joseph Kojo Ahunya is also with us. And forgive me, because of time, I'm not mentioning your churches and denominations. Reverend Dr. Samuel Kofi is also here with us. Reverend Dr. Divine K. Adai is here with us. Pastor Kweku Ofori is here with us. Reverend Loviana Lamle Latte Aldersgate is here with us. We have the Venerable Frederick Lamy with us here in the house. We also have Reverend Emmanuel A. Enum in the house here with us. And like I said, every other man of God and woman of God in the house, we acknowledge your presence and we thank you very much for being here with us. In today's meeting, we've got members of parliament in Greater Accra who are here accompanying His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. We've got our parliamentary candidates as well. We've got regional and national executives in the house. We've got some people on the days, and I don't know if I should proceed or I would acknowledge them from behind. We have Nana Philip Acha, who is a paramount chief from the Asin Joabing traditional area in the central region. We also have a member of our elders in the region, former National Health Insurance CEO, Honorable Sylvester Mensah. And let me say he's a member of the board at Perez Chapel, where I also fellowship. We have behind one of our mothers in the region. She used to be Deputy Chief of Staff under His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Our mother, we all call her Auntie Valerie, Madame Valerie Sawyer. And her boss, while she was at the presidency, is our big brother. We call him former local government minister, former Greater Accra Regional Minister, Honorable Julius Deborah. He was in Greater Accra. Yes. Now, up front, we have the Deputy Chief Whip of the Minority Caucus in Parliament and MP for Adan, Honorable Comfort Doyo Gansa. We also have in our midst our our Vice Chairman, is the National Vice Chairman of the NDC, former Regional Minister of Greater Accra, former Vice Chancellor of the University of Professional Studies, UPSA, Professor Joshua Alabi. I think I skipped one, I have to go back. In protocol hierarchy, we have the father of the region, our regional chairman, former member of parliament for our Denton constituency, Honorable Emmanuel Ni Ashimor. And then we have a personal big brother of mine who, despite his age, people still refer to him when they call babies with sharp teeth. He's the current General Secretary, a walking encyclopedia when it comes to economics, agriculture, transport, you name it. The Honorable Fifi Fiavi Kwete. I believe after his time as General Secretary, he will finally answer the call of God upon his life to become a man of God, because he's a man of God as well. And we have your host MP, the hosts here. It's a merger of two constituencies, I'll say, that are hosting you here. Or in fact, three. We've got Tema East, Tema Central, and Tema West. We've got lawyer James Enu in here. He's our parliamentary candidate for Tema West. We've got Abi Bright, who is our parliamentary candidate for Tema Central. And then we've got the Honorable Isaac Ni Ashai Odamtin, who is a member of parliament and our parliamentary candidate for the Tema East constituency. It is my hope that you pray for them, that all three of them join me in parliament, in the 9th parliament. My attention has also been drawn to the fact that a very senior member of our party, who used to be mayor of Kumasi, the Honorable Kojo Bonsu, is also in our midst. Honorable, we acknowledge you. We acknowledge you. Thank you. This shows you the unity of purpose that we have. I mean, and when I can't teach pastors the Bible, but we see the power of unity in the story of the Tower of Babel. Even God was afraid. The only time God was afraid of man was when man was united, and he said, let us go into their midst and create confusion. But we have unity, and this unity is of God, and we believe it will take us right. At this juncture, I would want to invite our regional chairman, the father of the region, Honorable Emmanuel Ni Ashimor, to give us his welcome address.
Good morning to you all. I was tempted to say our party's slogan, but when I look at the faces, I realize that this is a non-colorless occasion. But anyway, I think if I'm really tempted to say it, I'll find one or two men of God responding to it. Because as a father of the region for my party, I have brothers and sisters among you. So I'll say it so that people behind me who we know that a pastor is even giving me a sign to go ahead. So I'll say Eyezu, Eyezazuza. All the members of the clergy who responded, you get more blessings. And those who didn't respond will come back again. His Excellency the President, National Vice Chairperson, our General Secretary, members of Parliament and PCs, party faithfuls and party executives, constituency executives, men and women of the clergy, I stand on the rest of the existing protocols. We are here this morning for His Excellency not to come here for campaigning, but he's paying a courtesy call on groups and important organizations within the region. Yesterday, we had the privilege of meeting the Greater Accra House of Chiefs. You were there, the custodians of the land, and before you entered in somebody's compound, you need to do the needful. We found out needful that we also need to meet the clergy. He's not here to campaign, but we are here to listen. His Excellency is here to listen to you. His Excellency is here to listen to you. So the Ghana you and I want, whilst we are preparing our manifesto, he can do more and also get more into what advice that you're going to give to us. Before I go ahead, I quote Proverbs 11:14, where there is no guidance, the people falls, but in the guidance of the council, there is safety. We are here this morning to seek for your guidance. We are here this morning to seek for blessing. We are here this morning to seek for your prayers. Lastly, to also seek for your strategies, because you are a congregation and your numbers keep on encouraging and enlargement. We can see some of the churches in the Greater Accra region where they have the best strategies of even buying buses to convey their members in a flow before and after church. So we are also here to get the best strategy for our campaign. I will not speak much, but 2024 election will be a crucial election. As the tree says that, Yeshua is you, and Yeshua is Son. So definitely, we are not the wilderness. I stand to be corrected. Each and every member sitting here as a clergy vote. Each and every member here is a potential politician. Because we've seen members of parliament who are, as a member of clergy, who are also part of the legislature. So we know that you vote. What we hear, or what the good message we take from this gathering, we know that message will also be conveyed to your members of your churches. Lastly, in my conclusion, before His Excellency will come with the Ghana we want message and policies, I quote the same Bible, Luke 11:21, and I quote, when a strong man armed keep his palace, his gods are in peace. As an NDC, we don't have gods. We have only one God. That is our creator up there. We can promise our God that we worship, the God that you and I worship, that we will keep him in peace. We will do everything as a political party to arm our house or our palace to make sure that we can assure you this time around we will protect your vote and defend your vote. And we know by the grace of the Almighty God and your intervention, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama will be sworn in as a President of the Republic of Ghana 2025 with his members of Parliament. I thank you and God bless us all.
In summary of what is said, everybody will be voting non-political or political. My chancellor is around, so I need to impress him this morning always.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And your chancellor is not just the national vice chairman. In fact, today he is the acting acting chairman of the NDC, because our chairman is out of the jurisdiction. Let me also acknowledge Apostle Dr. Eric Emefa Agbogadenu, who is in our presence, and once again our host pastor, Reverend Emmanuel Kwesi Ofori, who is the resident pastor for Assemblies of God Community 4. At this juncture, we're going to go straight into a short interactive section. Now, this session, for want of time, because we've got quite a number of programs today, but we'll try and spend as much as possible with the men of God, is to seek your counsel and your suggestions on what you think the next government of Ghana, from 7th of January 2025, by God's grace, under the leadership of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, what should be their focus? What are the issues that you think the clergy, as the clergy, you want to see the government do? So this is not a Q&A session. It's not a questioning session. It is an open forum to get the mind of God. As David went to the prophet before going into battle, when he had gone to battle and come back, and his wife and family had been looted, he didn't just go out as a man of war. He came back to the prophets of God and asked them, shall I pursue? Will I overtake? Will I recover? And got the mind of God. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, before he goes out, wants to consult with the prophets of God and ask, shall I pursue? Will I recover? And will I overtake? And as he's here today, he's not here alone. A good father leaves a legacy for his children and brings them up in the fear of God. And so, as he's coming to meet the clergy today, he's showing his own biological children the way of God. And so he's here today with his son, Sharaf Mahama, and his daughter, Farida Mahama. That is the sign of a good father, who is teaching and bringing up his children in the fear and way of the Lord. And so at this juncture, I would open it up. We will take a batch of 5, or maybe a batch of 3 first suggestions, and then maybe do a second batch of 3 as well. And so, respectfully, men of God, if you have any suggestions or for us, please. We have one microphone. Yes. All right. So it will come to you. Thank you.
My name is Reverend Father Francis Destiny Amenuvo. I'm in charge of the Divine Mercy Catholic Church in East Legon. Your Excellency, thank you for this opportunity to share with you. I would have 2 points. My first is to commend Honorable Sam George for your loud voice about this bill, LGBTQ+. Shall we please applaud him and all who have a voice for this? I would want to propose that our politicians will not cringe at the feet of Western powers when they threaten us of not helping us with fiscal resources. When we go back to the scriptures, as Honorable Sam George has always told Ted, that it is an abomination to God. If you read 2 Chronicles chapter 36 verse 14, it says that the princes, the priests, and the people piled up infidelity upon infidelity, and they were an abomination to God, and it caused their enemies to pillage them. So please look at that issue. Let's not look out for money, let's look out for morals. That is the first one. The second, it's about our educational system. A lot of people will attest that our mission schools helped so many people in our generation. I want to suggest that we look at our educational system very well. Our principles are being thrown to the dogs, and we must reclaim the educational system so that our youth of today will be properly formed for the future. So take a second look at our education system. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I see a number of hands in the room, and we'll try to cover as many people as possible, but we'll give honor to whom honor is due. Our fathers from the Pentecostal Council are here, the GPCC are here. So I would want to do this first round with them, and then we will come back into the room. And we'll try to keep it very short, straight to the point, 2 minutes maximum. So I think I'll start with Bishop Gordon Kisei.
Thank you very much. In the first place, I want to give thanks to God for His Excellency for this opportunity to meet with the clergy. I do appreciate that His Excellency has been in this chair before, so he knows what Ghana we have or Ghana we want is. May I also announce to the press that we are speaking without callous, because we want to speak as fathers with our heart. Unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain that build it. And so my first point is that His Excellency will seek wisdom from God. Because without wisdom, the challenges of our nation is so complex. But when you are behind, you think it's so simple. It's like watching a football match. You find out that anybody at all can score. But we need wisdom to take our nation to where the nation must be. Many people behind the scene, before they become people voted into that noble office, say good things about our nation. But when they get into that house, I use that house in quotes, then somehow their mind changes. And things that they can never do, they begin to do. We want to pray that His Excellency, when he gets there, he will seek the wisdom of God. And the wisdom of God will help him to succeed. My second point is about our youth. Our youth. Our youth will need to have hope. We need to have a social architecture that will tell the youth of Ghana that if I finish school, there's something for me to do. So it's not just handing over money or handing over houses or handing over parcels. There must be a social architecture. By the time you come out of school, there is a structure, there is a plan, there's a program. And when you go through that program, you may not come out all of a sudden, but you come out very successful. Our youth need hope. So I want to suggest that anything we can do to give the youth hope will be done. The last and not the least is that as clergy, we are behind the scenes and we want to stand with whoever gets into that office. And because His Excellency is here, we want to stand and say that our prayers will continue to be with you. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Bishop. Bishop S.N. Mensah.
All right. Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Your Excellency, for the opportunity to share some few thoughts with you. I was born 5 months after independence. And when Nkrumah was overthrown, I was about 9 years. But during that period, I have seen the glory of Nkrumah's Ghana. And compared to the Ghana we have today, I would say literally the glory is lost. And what can we do if we will want to improve that glory? I think one of the suggestions would be the possibility may be to suspend the celebrations of our independence for the next 4 years for the next incoming government and use the resources to improve our state of our hospitals and over the 5,000 schools we have under trees. If we can put that resources together each year, we can improve the 5,000 schools under trees, and also for our pregnant mothers who are born, who bring forth children on the floor in the dilapidated hospitals. This investment of money can be used because it's not worth the celebration when we know we have issues that we need to deal with. Number two, there has been always a clarion call, the need for a national vision. And I'm aware we've shared some few thoughts, but it is important if everybody would be brought on board so that it wouldn't be either an NPP vision or an NDC vision, but a vision that would be bought by all. And then finally, Parliament can legislate a law that will make it binding for any incoming government to plug into any of the vision. By doing so, we can be moving our country forward for the next 30, 40 years. Also, the third thing is about the infiltration of political partisan politics into our security forces. We have a number of our security forces in our congregations, and they can all tell us that politics have really damaged them and destroyed them. If we can remove politics from our security forces so that they can be loyal to the state and the institutions, that will possibly help us. And the next thing I would like to share, there is a need for looking at our current situation to improve what I would call citizenship and patriotism. Is there the possibility for Parliament today? We congratulate Parliament for now reciting our national pledge, but perhaps can we move it to the next level where this reciting of our national pledge will be done in all schools every moment, at our tertiary institutions, at our workplaces. When they start work, they will recite the national pledge. In the churches, they will recite the national pledge on Sundays. If we do that for the next 10 years, believe you me, we will produce the new Ghanaian, because it will imbibe in them the spirit of patriotism and nation building. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bishop Samuel and Mensah. Bishop George Nikwe. Here. Yes.
First of all, I want to thank His Excellency for organizing this conference. It is very, very important that the politicians always engage the clergy. What is on my heart is the peace that we have. How do we maintain the peace that we have? We have elections approaching, and elections normally call for fighting. What are the plans we have towards peace? And so as we gather here this morning, and as we all look forward to the elections, we pray, and we as clergy always are praying for the peace of the nation. We haven't seen any fighting in our country. We haven't seen so many of those atrocities from neighboring countries inside, etc. We need peace, and so please let us all work towards the peace of our nation. No one, no party should stand up and say to the youth, let's fight. Whatever it is, let us put our heads together and solve whatever problems that may arise. And problems may arise. We are not looking forward to a divided country. We are looking forward to a united country where we can be prosperous. And so my prayer and my desire is that we have a peaceful country, a country that we can go about doing our work, we can go about doing our politics, we can go about worshiping God, we can do things together, and you can walk at any time and you are free. And so this is the main point that I want to bring. Let's fight for the peace of our nation.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Bishop Ben Ejay. Bishop Ben Ejay, yes.
Thank you for this opportunity. I would simply say that as our brother, I call him our brother because of the Christian connection. As he comes up to the seat, to that house, if people he puts around him, because he has the power to employ and must also have the power to fire, in case people he puts around himself to help him govern well don't do according to his expectations, which will take him far and leave a good legacy here, he should just be bold enough to fire them, and so he can always have the rightful people around him to do the good job he has come there to do.
Thank you very much, Bishop Benejay. I have Apostle Afote Odai.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, thank you once again for coming to my church last month to bless us. We are very grateful. I have my Honorable, thank you very much also. I'm a missionary pastor. I travel almost every month. And I see human beings drinking water with animals. I see schools under trees. Your Excellency, in your governance, we want you to have a very strong policy, plan, and strategy to make sure our mothers and our fathers and our sisters and our daughters in the villages don't drink that contaminated water again. Number two, when we were young, we can go to fishing at Peshi Lagoon. Today, Peshi Lagoon is killed and dead. I want to suggest that in your next governance, please have a plan and a strategy to revive our water bodies and also able to have a clean sea within our coast. The next one is, Dr. Mensah have said some already, but I want to add a little. If we can suspend our independence that is only filled with dancing, jumping, clapping, and singing and money wasting, if we can have it suspended and rather launch Operation Backyard Garden and Tree Planting for every constituency, I believe that we'll be able to generate something more than just people marching on the sun. And maybe the fourth year is celebrated. The last is to have that independent night as a presidential dinner night for the 275 constituencies that can be hosted by companies that will be able to have Thanksgiving and have fundraising to target projects in constituencies like the clinic in Krowo constituency. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Apostle Odai. Thank you very much for your suggestions. Bishop Richard Ahiagbede. Bishop Richard Ahiagbede.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for the opportunity to meet as the clergy and to dialogue with us. I would want to humbly suggest that Ghana as a nation would be looked at holistically so that more emphasis would be on infrastructure, education, health, agriculture, and industry. If these 5 areas are really giving the needed support and recognition, so that at the end of the day, if 2 or 3 of these areas are well promoted and enhanced, so that everyone in this nation would benefit from these areas, I'm sure to go a long way to help us, because the issue of our education system is becoming something. And then also, I humbly want to ask that import duty would be looked at carefully, because of the way import duty seems to be escalating. The importers are having a great deal of struggle, and at the end of the day, it is we the consumers that suffer all the issues that come along with duty payment. And so I would want to humbly ask His Excellency to look at that when God gives you the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Reverend Samuel Boateng. Reverend Samuel Boateng.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity, His Excellency. I would like to reiterate one of the previous speakers' concern. That is about peace before, during, and after the elections. The only legacy we have as Ghanaians is peace, and we need to protect it with all that we have. And so I will advocate that His Excellency, you will do everything to maintain the peace that we have. And I believe strongly that peace is tied to justice. And so there should be a strategic plan for the nation to ensure peace during and after the election. A higher percentage of our population also we can identify as the youth, and there should be a concerted effort to help the youth, because there is a high unemployment in the system, and so it is making their lives very uncomfortable. That is why they are prone to all kinds of gimmicks. Anybody comes with anything and they just get hooked to it. So I would like our former president, who is coming again, to take a critical look at the youth. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Our fathers have spoken, and we would need to hear from His Excellency. I see a lot of hands. It will be impossible to take all the hands, but we'll take about 3 more from the crowd. And I beg you, with the greatest of respect, if someone has said something you intend to say, there is no need for us to repeat that point. And I'm going to be very strict on time. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Reverend Dr. Alfred Kwakwa-Kumbi, and what is really a burden to me is the way our school children behave in our schools. In fact, I happen to be an SMC chairman, and I see what is happening in our schools. I mean, the primary, the GHS, and it's so pathetic. I mean, the respect is no more there for the teachers. And sometimes some of the children will be just misbehave, trying to provoke the teachers, knowing that it is said that no more caning. But by God's grace, some of us, we've seen it. Growing up, the teachers, they ensure that they discipline us, tell us the right thing to, and if we misbehave, you will be caned. The Bible is so plain. Spare the rod. But we hear you people coming, government upon government come and say that, don't cane the child. I want to find out.
No questions, please.
Okay, let me know.
So you made a suggestion on discipline.
I want you to please, if God helps you and you come to power, I will want to plead with you people that you look at it. And
thank
so
you,
that there will be
discipline. Much. Thank you very much, man of God. Thank you very much. I have not heard a woman speak. I see a lady at the back there. And so...
Thank you.
Kindly introduce yourself, your name, your church, and 2 minutes, please.
Please, my name is Apostle Dr. Juliet Richardson. My church is Royal Miracle International Church. I want to say something about women and children. Women suffer a lot when it comes to giving birth. And when we go to the hospitals to give birth, sometimes they don't have money. And they have to buy a drug. They will watch them die because it's pay before delivery. And women are suffering a lot. There's no bed for a woman to deliver on. Our hospitals are choked. We need more hospitals. And for our children, we are not able to afford the big school fees. And they say it's free education, but we don't see anything free. The children go to school, and you have to buy a lot of things. By the time they leave, a poor woman is spending like 3,000. We want, Mr. President, I call you Mr. President because God says you are the next president. In my vision, I saw the flag of Ghana with the name John. since he has promised that John is taking over again. You are a destiny child. Leaders are born and not made. And God is going to help you get there. But please, see about women and their children. There are a lot of single parents. If you can do something about it. Mr. President, I went to the north. I'm an evangelist. I travel a lot. There's no road to Tumu because the road is very bad. And there are a lot of burglars on the way. A lot of armed robbers killing women who are going to do market. And you know all the struggles we have in Ghana. Women are the most people that go through that pain.
Thank you very much.
Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So what I'm doing is I'm just taking one from each of the rows. So I'll take one from here. Yes, the gentleman there. Yes, the man of God over there. Yes.
My name is Dr. Richard Wilson from Multitude Evangelistic Ministry, Afienya. I would like to suggest that looking at the work our president did before and is coming again, I would like to suggest that the years they are spending on the seat is too short. And therefore, I would like to appeal to His Excellency that when he come back, they should change the constitution. Because if they change the constitution, he will be able to work well, and then we get the better Ghana we are talking about. Please, I would like to appeal that the next coming president should stay for 7 years.
All right, we hear your recommendation. His Excellency will deal with it. I'm going to that end, and we will take another woman. I see another woman there on the second row, and I think that's going to be my last one. The woman on that row. I plead with you, men of God. I know if we do this for another 3 hours, we would not even take everybody. What I will plead with you is, whatever suggestions you have, you can just pen them down. I'll stay behind. The rest of the MPs are here. Your MPs are there. Just let's get them. We'll feed them all to President Mahama, because I'm speaking in the prophetic. President Mahama, and then he will get to work on it. So yes, Mama. Please identify yourself and the church, please.
Thank you. I'm Reverend Evelyn. I'm here from Mount Horeb Victorious Church International, Committee 10. Mr. Incoming President, His Excellency, I want to thank you and compliment you that after a long wait, you finally came up with the name of a woman as your vice president. I do hope you really went into consultation not only with men but with God as well. So I want to commend you. On that note, I just want to say, please don't make her a decorative piece. Let her be part of you. See her as a woman that God has given to you. Do consultation, think together, move together, think together, and give her opportunities. Thank you. Secondly, I am a product of a mission school, Holy Child Secondary School in Cape Coast. And I want you, Mr. President, incoming, to seriously do a big consultation with stakeholders and see if the churches can be given another chance. And then last, His Excellency, I think Ghana belongs to all of us. And whatever any party is doing, no matter what, we sitting back see it as developing Ghana. So why do politicians come in and abandon projects? Well-meaning projects that were begun by their predecessors. You see it hanging all over the places. Both top parties are guilty. And for once, His Excellency incoming, I wish to appeal to you that as you go around listening to us, you also have an open eye. Look out for uncompleted structures that are meaningful to the communities and do something about them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I had said we were ending it, but you see, a man whose heart is stayed on God wants to hear the voice of God. So His Excellency says, I should take another 2 more. There's a gentleman right behind the woman whose hand has been up. Let's take that. And then, wow, man of God.
My name is Reverend Christopher Do Tokonu, Glorious Liberty Outreach Church, Anya, Accra. My issue is related to transport, the future of transport. And I want His Excellency, the incoming president, to look again as a policy measure about the fragmentation of transport. The ministry has so many transport ministries, which is a waste of resources. We have Ministry of Aviation, Ministry of Roads and Transport, Ministry of Rails and Highways, and a whole lot. Unfortunately, there is portfolio of evidence that they are even not coordinating among themselves. So eventually, decision making has become an issue. I would kindly entreat you, His Excellency, that if we can have only one ministry, the Ministry of Transport, and then all the other modes of transportation will fall under that ministry, I think it will be a step in the right direction for all of us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So that we move to the next. Sir, your hand has been up for a very long time. It's the dispensation of grace that got you in. Let me extend that grace to other people. There's a gentleman with a clerical on this row. So I'll just do the 111 again as I'm going. Yes.
God bless our homeland, Ghana.
And make our name.
God bless Mr. President, our Father. Now, may the Lord bless us all. I have one thing to ask. My name is Reverend Dr. Prince Brown. I want to stand for the youth in Ghana and also the youth that are coming as men of God. Out of 16 regions we have in Ghana, there are 5, statistically speaking, that are endowed, very endowed with mineral resources. God is so wise and so loving, and every nation He has endowed them with mineral resources. These 5 out of the 16 regions that God has endowed with mineral resources, Asante region is one, Western region is one, Northern region, Eastern region. These 5 can develop the whole Africa. A lot, varieties of mineral resources, lithium, name them. Lithium, bauxite. These 5 can develop the whole Africa. And our youth are struggling for job. And Mr. President, I believe and I hope God's will come to pass. Mr. President is embarking on 24 hours economy and it's very good. And if is mounted on employment, I know all the policies and all the manifestos will mount up with job creation. All the manifestos are mounted up with job creation. And 5 out of these 16 regions are endowed with varieties of minerals, gold. Ochiman has a lot of gold underground. One can develop Ghana and develop other African countries. Let the nation,
thank you,
President, open your eyes and go around and fish out the mineral resources and use them appropriately to develop our nation. God bless you, sir.
You did not mention your name. And
my name is Reverend Dr. Prince Brown.
Reverend Dr.
Prince Brown. Shaman Fire Miracle Ministries.
Thank you very much. I've seen the. Oh wow, the gentleman with the microphone is moving under the unction of the Spirit and choosing himself.
I think I'm favored.
Please,
God bless you.
Bless you. Your name, your church. 2 minutes, please.
I'm Prophet Nana Ajimai Owusu with Possibility Worship Center. 2020, I was the one that led the executive to swear at the party headquarters by the grace of God. My question goes to our incoming president. By the grace of God.
No questions. I was clear from the beginning.
By the grace of God.
Suggestions, no questions. If you have a question, please let us have them. This is an interactive session.
I have realized that over the years, we've borrowed and borrowed and borrowed and borrowed from the foreign countries, and at the end of the day, it's not helping us. And they are determining the outcome of our life. And therefore, the Bible says something in Proverbs that the learner or the slave, or say, Proverbs 27 verse 7, the rich rules over the poor, and the borrower is a slave to the lender. Until when are we going to develop our own? And when are we going to appreciate our resources and use them to develop? Because I think that all the resources that we have in Ghana here, God put them here for our development. God put them here for us to maximize it and use it for our growth and for the future betterment of Ghana.
Thank you, man of God. Thank you, man of God. On this row, I have seen an elderly woman at the back, and her hand has been up, and I think that, yes, in the spirit, I think I should let her speak. The lady at the back. Yes, I'm being led by the spirit. So, mommy, please, your name and your church, 2 minutes, please.
Pastor Bebrain, my friend Florence Ofei. Nenyo Sofo. Nenyo Sofo. Many mema near Bompai. Na minya sa yichire. Say.
Mpacho my mic no ben wano.
Said Galamsey and Ntokuru na where to amuna no agya wo. Na Emma ntontom keka yen wo kukum yen. Yen matutom wo wuwu. Mesra ban yi so oba. President coming John Mahama. Oba omo nsu sa amuna ni nyina. Na one treat amuna no. Na one friend we a coffee. It's a coffee, an essential commodity all over the world. As one boom posting cocoa. It's a benya says cano. Now, mum, what am I prisoners all over Ghana? One I say, Jumano. Now, we bet you one cow. Akatiano, what bet you more being. What the
all right.
Mama,
yeah, Darcy. Yeah, Darcy. Mama. Yeah, officer of a kind of idea. No, I mean, show. Mama, yeah, Darcy.
As a school for no so. Mama, 1 year farm, take a was a school land farm so. Now, 1 year, young often feed one. Not a bang of car or bottle.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mama, yeah, Darcy. You see what I said, that she's not a man of God, a woman of God, but the Spirit led me to her. She's brought some very important points. I will take one last one from here. Well, he stood up, so that's the very last one, and then H.E., we come to you, sir.
Thank you. I'm Reverend Edmond Soaboy from the Women's Wing Department of...
Sorry, we didn't get your name properly. Please, can the room be quiet?
Reverend Edmond Soaboy.
Echo. Reverend Echo.
Edmond.
Edmond.
Soaboy. Yes, my contribution is this. Several presidents or governments have rolled on. Still, we are having challenges in Ghana. And here we are having this forum with pastors, leaders of the nation. I do believe that once the president coming is having in mind 24-hour economy, I suggest that we also have 24-hour chain prayer for the nation, so that what we have found difficult in doing, God will help us, show us mercy, and move ahead, because our children and us are suffering. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Edmond. And we will bring to an end the interactive session. All I will just say even before His Excellency comes on is the chain prayer is needed even for the victory of President Mahama. So please start the chain, the 24-hour chain prayer chain for the victory of John Mahama and the NDC and deliverance. please give us a minute interlude, and after that you will hear His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
You would realize your suggestions are great. Everybody realize without God there is no progress or any nation in the world. Mumaya Somyankapon in every way you can. Committee chairman, all of you must be standing. Stand up, committee chairman, do a dance. Will you say a prayer? Pray anytime for your life. In every way you can. Yankapon, you're in the Mumaya Sumno, Yankapon. Without God, there are no possibilities. Interaction with men and women of God. You deserve an applause for yourselves. Enjoy your day. Your Excellency, you deserve an applause. Oh, we celebrate whilst we roll. Your sensibility, your abilities, your generosity. Ladies and gentlemen, suggestions will be taken in consideration in every aspect of life. This would be the end of the song. I will end this interactive song.
Thank you very much. And with the greatest of respect, can we have a standing ovation as we welcome His Excellency, the incoming President of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama.
Thank you, thank you. Kindly be seated. Thank you very much. Indeed, I feel very elated by the excitement and interest that this interactive session has engendered this morning. I want to thank all of you, our men and women of God, for taking time off to come and join us in this program. As I started to do in 2020, we decided that we're no longer going to seclude ourselves with a few experts and write a manifesto for our party. Instead, we're going to do a tour and listen to all stakeholders in this country, everybody from every walk of life, traders, seamstresses, hairdressers, masons, carpenters, doctors, nurses, teachers, men of God, traditional leaders, everybody. And we'll get nuggets of wisdom from them so that we can present them in our manifesto and use them as policy for when we come into office. And so this is the 14th region I am visiting. After this I have 2 more, and I want to say this is one of the most exciting sessions that I have seen. Even with time running past, the number of hands are still seen up. I guess if we wanted everybody to ask a question, we would stay here for another couple of hours. But let me thank you very much, everybody who got the opportunity to speak. And as Sam George said, anybody who has any suggestion that you think was earth-shaking and that there will be an earthquake if you didn't make the suggestion, kindly write it on a piece of paper and hand it over to our Member of Parliament or to Shai Odamte or to any of them before we leave. The church has an interest in what goes on in the country. Even though your principal role is to see to our spiritual well-being, the physical affects the church, the material affects the church, because the church does not hang in the air. The church is on ground and is on earth. And so whatever happens to your congregation affects you, the leader of the church. And as Proverbs 29:2 says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked rule, the people mourn. And so we have an interest in who is in authority in our country, because as we have learned recently, if we make a wrong choice, it affects us, as we are all going through currently. And so the church must take an interest in who is in authority. We have
spoken a lot about the various things we'll do, but I want to appreciate the suggestions you made, and some of them are similar to what your colleagues have said in other places that we've been to, and I have made some pronouncements on those ones. And so I'm not going to comment on everything that was said, but I'll pick a few of them and I will just make a few comments in order that we wrap up the session. I want to thank Reverend Amenuvo for his commendation to Sam George and his fellow parliamentarians in respect of the bill on good family values. It is now an issue of legislative and legal issues. Parliament has done its work. According to the majority leader, the bill has not landed on the president's table, but indications we are getting is that he says he won't sign it because somebody has filed a suit with the Supreme Court. So it's become entangled with some legalese. Reverend S. Edmonds had talked about it a few days ago, and what he said has gone viral. But we'll just continue to watch and see what happens. But this is what the reason for being self-reliant is. If you are not self-reliant, that's when people can dictate to you. If we were self-reliant, nobody will come and ask us to do this or to do that. And so one of the key economic policies we must pursue is one of self-reliance. And it's been done in this country before. For those of us who are old enough, we remember General Ike Achampon's time. Operation Feed Yourself, Operation Feed Your Industries. Self-reliance was the aim that this government was pursuing, so that we could be proud, dignified people because we're able to feed ourselves. And so that will be part of the key policy that we pursue, so that tomorrow somebody won't come and tell us to do this or that, because if you do that, I will do this. And so that's something that we should look at. With regards to the mission schools, I mentioned it already, that the time has come for us to bring the church and government together to man the schools. And so we are proposing that for the mission schools, we'll make sure that the chair of the board of the school is from the church. And then they will also have a hand. The mission schools will play a bigger role in the selection of who becomes the headmaster, so that the mission can have some control. These schools were transferred to government because government had more resources to expand in terms of infrastructure. And so most of the schools came into government, even for new community schools that are being set up. Anywhere I go, people are saying, adopt our secondary school, because they know once you adopt it, government will invest in it and expand the school. But if it belongs to a mission like Ahmadiyya, to Methodists, to Assemblies of God, we must make sure that that faith-based organization has a greater role in terms of running the school. With regards to Bishop Kisei, Bishop, advocated that I seek wisdom from God. I'm not waiting to get into office to do that. I already seek the face of God in everything that I do. And I pray before I make most decisions. I have had this in prayer for quite a while, and my decision to offer myself to my party was guided by that godly wisdom. And so you can be sure that I will not forsake it. Bishop Kisei also talked about the future of our youth. Our youth are beginning to lose hope in the future because they don't see any prospects for them. Recently, the statistics that have come from the Ghana Statistical Services say that unemployment has risen to 14.7%. In 2016, it was 8.5%. It's gone up to 14.7%. But the more unfortunate thing, and what we should be watching, is that the Statistical Services say that the unemployment rates amongst the higher educated from tertiary is higher than those secondary and below. So the higher you rise, the less likely you are to get a job. And that is a very dangerous development. Before, the higher you went, the more likely you were to get employed. Unfortunately, it has reversed now. And so of that 14.7% unemployment rate, tertiary trained graduates are a bigger chunk than those below secondary and basic education. And so it's something that we need to look at. And so the next government's, major focus must be putting in policies that will create jobs, jobs, and jobs. And these should not be artificial jobs like we normally do. You do NAPCO, and you know that you have no sustainable place to put them after the 3 years when they graduate from NAPCO. And yet it is just done to win political points. Oh, we've given 100,000 young people jobs. And now even they finish the NAPCO, you owe them 9 months allowance arrears, and government is refusing to pay it. And so we must aim more at sustainable jobs. And we can get those sustainable jobs in many places, including the agricultural value chain, agribusiness, in the mineral sector. God has blessed us with many minerals. Every day new mines are being discovered. And if we're able to change the mining laws in order that we indigenize some of this mining activity, it will create more jobs for our people instead of all the expatriates who come and mine, take the profits away. If we make more profit from our mineral activities, we can invest it in industry so that we create more factories to produce items for ourselves and also create jobs for our people. And so Bishop Mensah talked about Nkrumah, who was our first president. He's one of our most respected presidents, not only domestically but internationally. He's been one of the greatest presidents. And his aim was to make Ghana an industrial powerhouse and make it self-sufficient. And so he set up Gayhawk Brick and Tile, Asebu Lime Factory, Ashanti Shoe Factory, Kumasi Shoe Factory. I mean, just name it. Gayhawk Distilleries. I mean, so many factories and infrastructure. Akosombo Dam. Till date, Akosombo Dam produces 30% of Ghana's electricity consumption, something that he opened as far back as 1960. And so what we need is visionary leadership that will put in the things that will transform our country. And Bishop talked about suspending Independence Day. I don't know how much it costs, but I think what you want to address is that we must cut waste, because there's a lot of waste in the system. If we cut down waste, we would have more money to invest in other productive sectors of the economy. And so I would say that we should look at where we can cut waste so that we can put it in our schools, in our hospitals, and other places. One of the things that Professor Mills's government and mine were good at doing was removing schools under trees. And all we did was, every year we budgeted for taking out a certain number of schools under trees. But at the same time, we transferred 7.5% of total government revenue to the district assemblies. And so we told every district assembly, every year we want you to take out 2 schools under trees and to build 4 CHIPS compounds. The rest of the money you can do whatever you want with it. And so adding what we were building from the budget, including what the district assemblies were building, by the time we left office, we had built more than 1,800 new schools where formerly schools were under trees, and we had built more than 4,600 CHIPS compounds across the country, because we have 260 districts. And so imagine each one is building 2 schools per year. For 4 years, that's 8 schools. And if you multiply 8 by 260, you can imagine the number of schools. And then you multiply 4 CHIPS compounds by 260, 4 every year. So that's 16 CHIPS compounds by 260. You can imagine the number of CHIPS compounds we'll be able to build. We'll realign this kind of budgeting and expenditure so that we can take out more of the schools under trees and then also build more CHIPS compounds. The CHIPS compounds have become very important because it takes health to the doorsteps of the people. You can't build a hospital in every village, but you can have a small CHIPS compound with a health worker there. The health worker is able to treat small sicknesses like typhoid, malaria, and those kinds of sicknesses. But for where the sickness is more complicated, there should be a referral hospital not too far away where they can refer the patient. And that's why we're building the district hospitals and CHIPS compounds within the catchment area of the district hospitals. This government started the Agenda 111, they call it. But they started with 80 hospitals. I don't know what survey was done before the hospitals are being put in, but most of them are at a certain stage of completion. One would have thought that they will start with what they can do and finish. And so if you can do 40 hospitals, finish and open them, then you start another. But you spread to 80 hospitals, by the time they leave office, I don't think many of them would have been completed. And then it means that the next government must find money to continue and complete all these hospitals. But I've made a pledge that we're not going to abandon any projects. Indeed, I said that we're not going to be in a hurry. I said that we're not going to be in a hurry to start new projects. The little resources we have we'll use to complete ongoing and abandoned projects. Several of the E-block schools I started have been abandoned, and so we'll look to continue them. They are building these new hospitals. We'll look for the resources to complete them and put equipment there so that they can be of benefit to the people. The taxpayers' money is used to build these things. So when you build it and a new government comes and they leave it, another government comes and they leave it, it is a waste of the taxpayers' money. And so better to complete them and put them to good use. There are many of these projects in the secondary schools, dining halls, dormitory blocks, administration blocks, and other things, lecture rooms that were started in other governments have all been abandoned. And so we're not waiting till we come into government. We've commissioned an inventory taking in every district to give us an inventory of what all the abandoned projects are, what is their stage of completion, so that as soon as we come into office, we know exactly what budget we are putting every year to continue those projects until we finish them. Reverend Mensah also talked about the national vision, and that's been one of the problems we have. Rawlings had Vision 2020, and when President Kufuor came, 2020 was thrown out of the window, and they brought the poverty reduction strategy, growth and poverty reduction strategy, GPRS or something like that. And then when he left, Agenda for Transformation came. And then when I came, I brought the 40-year development plan. And when President Akufo-Addo came, he threw the 40-year development. He took part of it and created his Ghana Beyond Aid. And so we don't have a specific plan that we all are working to. And so I'm suggesting that we have the 40-year development plan. We can compress it into a 20-year plan with 4-year segments. And so it's 20 years, we expect to be here in 20 years. But every 4 years, this is where we must reach. Every 4 years, this is where we must reach. And all of us must sign on to the plan so that we implement it together. Whether it's Mahama in power or somebody else comes into power, they will continue their 4-year leg of it so that it becomes like a relay race. And then politics in the security services, you're right, recruitment has been partisan, but what I've even heard recently is the sale of positions, public appointments. And so if you're a teacher, you have to go and pay before you are taken. If you want to enter the armed forces or the police, they are charging children as much as 30,000 cedis before they give them employment. I think we must put a firm foot down and stop this. Anybody who is caught doing it must be dealt with so drastically that other people will think twice before they attempt to do that. Citizenship and patriotism, moral education. When we were young, we used to learn religious and moral education in school. It was a subject that we studied. There was a master for RME, and we used to learn it. Now RME is lost in the curriculum. You can't find where it is. When you ask, they say, oh, it's part of social studies. You know, you have to go and search in social studies to look for where some small chapters of RME have been put in. I think we must expand the study of RME, because some of those religious principles we studied in school are still what is guiding us in terms of our conduct and our behavior. When we were young too, we had patriotism and civic education in school. We were taught how to be a responsible citizen of your country. You know, we're taught the national pledge. We're taught how to stand at attention with your chest out when the national anthem is being played. We even had a book they call Courtesy for Boys and Girls. We're taught how to sit and have table manners, how to be, you know, polite to elders in a bus. If an elderly person comes in, you, the young person, must get up and give up your seat. All these things were taught, and we've grown up with them. They say that teach the young the way they should go, and when they grow, they will not depart from it. And so we must catch them young by including all this in the curriculum, so that our children will grow up knowing what the values of our morality are and what the value of good citizenship is. Bishop Nikwe called for peace in elections. I can assure you we are a very peaceful party, and we do not advocate violence. And so we will do our best to make sure that elections are peaceful. But while we look at peace, we must also look at justice. I mean, nobody will sit down to see somebody cheating in elections and say, because I want peace, I won't do anything. And so while we how do the Ashanti say, the tree-speaking people say? They say, "Wutu okrafo, no atu momone sofo." So we should also, those who are the ones who provoke the violence should also be talked to. If the Electoral Commission is neutral, the security services are neutral, and they owe allegiance only to the state and they do the right thing, I'm sure we would have peaceful elections. And we must also look at the role of the Peace Council. The Peace Council was created for situations like this. And so if you, the religious leaders and the traditional leaders, can have a session with the Peace Council and also do some advocacy that they rise up to their role properly, I think that we should be fine. Bishop Ajay admonished that if you have appointees and they are not doing well, fire them. You have the power to appoint and to disappoint. And so the advice is well taken. I have done several reshuffles when I was president, moved people to other places and then got some people out. Normally by the middle of the term, you should be able to tell if people have fitted in and they are moving according to your pace. If they are not, they probably would be better in some other place. And so it's something that governments normally do. Bishop Odai is an evangelist. I went to his church and I saw a video of the work that he's been doing all across the country, providing water to different communities, and I encourage you to continue. We prioritize water as one of the sectors that we had to work in. And so from Professor Mills's time until my time, we built the most small town water systems in this country than any government in history. We moved water coverage in terms of access to clean drinking water from 56% to 72% in the 8 years that we were in office. For Accra alone, we added 40 million gallons of water. And for those of you who live in Adenta, you remember that it is at that time that Adenta and East Legon started getting water for the first time in many years. I used to live in East Legon. I moved out because my tap didn't flow for 2 years and I had had enough, so I moved to Jowolu. So when I came, I said, no, I have to do something for those I left behind. And so we put in we put in additional 40 million gallons. And what we did was we laid a new pipeline to bring the water through the northern part of the city. So the water came through Santon and all other places, came to Adenta, and then to East Legon, University of Ghana. All of them started to get water. In the last 8 years, this government has not added one drop to water supply in Accra. And recently I saw Ghana Water Company say Accra is growing too fast and so they don't have enough water to supply everybody. And I said, you must plan ahead. Accra will continue to grow fast, but every government must put in additional volumes so that we're able to keep up with the growth. So if in 8 years you haven't put in a single gallon of water, why don't you think that the demand would outstrip supply? Nowadays our taps flow once a week. twice a week. You know, before they used to flow more regularly, but we shall correct that when we come. We would add additional water to Accra's water supply so that everybody can get water. Bishop Obodai talked about water pollution. There's a lot of water pollution due to galamsey and other incorrect practices. Like he said, the Odor drain and Kole, you know, used to have fish in them. And when we're small,